first thing, important thing, is turning this thing on and off in the correct order. With a multi-component sound system like this, you always want to make sure the amplifier is the last thing you turn on and the first thing you turn off. Otherwise, you'll pop the speakers, and over time, that'll cause them to wear down quicker than you want them to. So for the way the system is set up, this switch here will turn on everything except the amplifier. And then once you can see all the lights are on the other components, so we got our little LED on the amp powering up. Takes a second to boot up. Then once that amplifier boots up, we should be good to go. So we've got a CD recorder, which is hooked up for both recording and playback. An aux in, so you can play music from your own device. And standard analog mixer. Anyone who's had any experience working with music, live music or recording music, some of these controls should be very familiar to you. You have a channel for each potential input in the room. There are labels on the bottom. So we have mic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which are then in turn, there's a patch panel at the bottom of the rack, which really just loops up to mic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know it's like, why do we put this here when the inputs are up there? It's the design. We just do it the way they tell us to. And then mic 1 and 2 have your two hanging mics in the room permanently plugged in. So you'll notice I even put a little label here that says hanging mics right underneath where it says mic 1 and 2 on there. We have, for our playback sources, we have aux in labeled here, line 1, 2, and 3, which are our stereo inputs down here, line 1, 2, and 3. You have left and right for each of those, so you can plug in a stereo device to those if needed. And then we have CD right here, which is the playback on the CD player. And then our main out for the speakers. So if I were to take my own aux cable to plug my phone into the aux in here, wrong.
Do you have Android or iPhone?
I have both, and I have the cord for the Android phone, so that's the one I need to grab. So let me...
So are these cords we need to buy?
Yeah, there are boxes of cords that are in the main tech closet. I don't know if there's anything like this included. I know you have like mic cables to plug in more microphones and stuff like this, but I rarely see this like a cord including the spec, mostly because they're so specific to everyone's individual devices anymore that the chances of the right cord being spec'd for what you need are pretty slim to none at this point.
This equipment's not Bluetooth capable?
These racks are, there's nothing that has a Bluetooth connection in this rack. The gym rack does, but because of where the gym rack is located compared to to where you're probably going to be using your devices, I don't know if the Bluetooth range would be practical for the gym. And even with professional Bluetooth equipment, the range typically does not lend itself to being very useful in professional applications, just because it's a very high frequency. It dissipates very quickly when you get a certain amount of feet away from the actual receiver.
Which channel is for the aux?
So the aux right here, it's labeled aux. Let's show you. So each channel has a series of controls that apply just to that channel. So input gain, that's how much signal's let into the mixer. Then you have your little EQ for each channel. So I can adjust the shape of this, turn up the high end, turn down the low end, turn up the low end. So this is your little EQ. That'll adjust the shape of the music coming through that channel. And then you have, of these four auxes, the only one that's in use is aux 1, which feeds the CD recorder. So whatever you want to send to the CD recorder, you have to make sure it's turned up on this dial as well. And then the master for the CD recorder, you'll notice is labeled record right here. And then this is the master for the room. So you'll notice I've got all your microphones already pre-dialed into the recorder. My recommendation for the hanging mics is that you leave them just dialed to the recorder, they're not really meant to be used for live reproduction in a room like this. They're really just for recording whatever your band or vocal choir is doing. If you try to actually use them in the room, they would probably feed back if you turned them up too much. So you can leave these down. So these aux 1 is a pre, which means it exists before this goes up. So if I were to pop a blank CD in the CD recorder, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and tweak that up. I'm going to try to get my microphone to hit like above that 20 there. And then it should be a pretty good level to record what's going on in the room. So then once we metering, and if you have a pair of headphones, you can also use a pair of headphones to monitor what you're picking up in there. There's a headphone jack on the recorder itself. If I hit play, I'm now recording. So I'm just going to sit here and record for a few minutes. And obviously I'm one person talking, not a whole choir. So these are kind of area mics, so they're intended to pick up a big amount of noise being made by a big group standing here. So I'm just going to stand right underneath it right now, just so I know it picks me up pretty good since I'm just one person. And then I'm going to come back over here and hit stop. Now, because this is a CD recording, I can play it back on this device, but I would not be able to take that CD and play it on another device until I finalize the disc, which the instructions for finalizing the disc are listed on your little cheat sheet there. So in one piece of advice about using the recorder is when you're recording, make sure the CD is turned all the way down in the room, because you don't want to create a feedback loop. And make sure that this dial that would send the recorder to aux 1 is always turned down. So you don't want to send the recorder to itself, because that'll just create noise. So now if I were to turn that up and press play, you should hear me talking to you guys. Oh, there I am. I'm trying to pick up a big amount of noise being made by a... It actually is pretty clean. It's cleaner than I expected for this old girl.